Number two issue that crushes developer team productivity, well, really it crushes productivity across teams of all kinds, but it's indecision. And so I've seen it, I don't know, probably 1,000 times, where teams will lock up seemingly and everybody's sort of staring at each other, virtually these days, of course, since everybody's probably on Zoom, but nobody's making a decision. So it gets deferred, nothing happens. And you get to the next week and nobody's made a decision and it gets deferred, nothing happens. So, simple solution to how you fix this, but let's first delve into why this problem comes up. And again, it has to do with the gulf of communication. The problem ends up quite often being, I mean, not always, but quite often it's the case that you've got product management or you've got business leadership that wants a particular feature or wants something built. And then you've got the dev team or engineering, they, have some ideas around how to do that, but it's not clear. It's not clear what the correct path to delivering on that requirement is. So that's where the indecision is. Well, should we use framework A or should we use framework B? Should we build it on onto the existing database? Do we need to upgrade something? Whatever that decision point is, it's not getting made. And product management or someone in those shoes will feel incapable of helping make the decision because they're afraid, for lack of knowledge, quite often, as to, I don't know, what technical choice should be made. We don't know. That's not our job. That's your job, developers. And then the developers feel like, well, we don't know what the business is going to look like 12, 18 months from now, so we don't want to get trapped into the wrong decision. So, of course, that's the wrong way of thinking about it. You just have to make some decision and iterate forward from there. This is where I think that having someone who is a technical architect, someone who's and ideally someone who's lived on both sides of the equation. So really what you're trying to do is you're trying to take what the biz is saying and you're trying to take what, development or engineering are saying, and you're trying to bring those two things together to make a V1 decision. And sure, it's not perfect, but you're just trying to make a decision that incorporates aspects of both. So this is where having some senior tech leadership that can come in and make those decisions for the team, essentially taking the fear and the risk of like, oh, what if it's my fault? So someone has to have the courage to come in and do that, and the organization has to take the attitude and the approach that, well, it's okay to be wrong. You make the decision, you execute on that, and if you're built as an organization to iterate quickly, well, if it doesn't work, then you acknowledge that was not the right path and you move on. Another way of looking at this is that it's sort of a search where maybe this was a dead end, your first choice, and maybe even your second choice was a dead end, but maybe here, or honestly, if I do a more realistic version of this, maybe a slight tweak to a different idea gets you to success. You wouldn't know that unless you try a few different things, and you wouldn't try a few different things unless you make some decisions. And so having someone who can pull together both aspects to an extent and just make a quick decision, that's critical. This greatly raises the productivity of any product team. So if you don't have that person, then figuring out how you can access someone who can inject that, even in limited quantities, could be a huge benefit.